Welcome. It's time for Puzzle Talk, the geocaching puzzle podcast brought to you by the Geocache Talk Network. If you'd like to become a patron, click on the Become a Patron heart on the front page of the Geocache Talk website, or head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk. For more details, patrons get the now famous Blackout coin and other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content, invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as Bison Tube level. That's just $3 a month. So we can do the math on how many pennies that is per day. Here are your hosts, Charles Watkins and Tom Brotherman. Good evening, gentlemen.
I had forgotten something very important. I got to have something for another show.
That's for another show. There you go. What'd you get? Knee high. All right.
Great. Orange knee high.
I'm rocking the coffee mug with Dad on the front. But being left-handed, it doesn't show correctly. Because if I was left-handed, see how I'm left-handed, the show's starting off fabulous. See, because I'm left-handed, you don't see it, but I get to see it because I'm looking at it. You like that? Okay, great. Let's do some news. Charles, I think most of the news you've got tonight. So
you want me to? All right. Hey, so we wanted to say thank you to everyone who participated in CacheCon 2021. We had a tremendous response from the geocaching community, and wanted to tell you thank you. We've gotten so much feedback from that, from other reviewers, cachers from like 30 different countries have tuned in to watch it. And really, I mean, we hosted it, but we couldn't have done it without you, the viewers. And so we wanted to take a moment and say a very special thank you to you. If you noticed in your inboxes, if you were one of the people who ordered swag, coins and shirts and whatnot, you got an email today letting you know that coins are going into production. Mm-hmm. And because of Chinese New Year, that usually they take the whole month of February off. Right. So
makes you want to become Chinese, doesn't it?
Yeah, when can we get that over here? When can we get a Chinese New Year in the U.S.?
You got to go to the Bay Area for that.
Oh, okay.
But if you ordered swag, you got an email today that told you that coins are going into production. We're expecting them somewhere in the first 2 weeks of March. And then once coins come in and shirts get all produced, they're going to get mailed out to you. So keep an eye on your mailboxes. Somewhere around mid to late March, you should be getting a package in the mail if you ordered CacheCon swag.
Yeah.
There. So that one is done and out of the way. So thank you, viewers.
Yeah, that was great. I'm going to make a quick comment. Just that I think 34. I'll get an exact total, but yeah, incredible. And the other thing too is a big thank you to everybody who basically advertised it for us. I mean, we like you said, we couldn't have not only done it with you guys showing up for the event, but also by telling people. And I was blown away by all the social media posts that I've seen on either Twitter or Facebook. I mean, I saw stuff talking about Worldwide CacheCon I couldn't read because it was in another language. I was like, yes, this thing's gonna be. We had no idea. I mean,
it was a puzzle email.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? The Slovenia one. It was a puzzle one because I couldn't figure it out. But yeah, so to wrap this up, just did you guys have any idea we were going to have, what's it up to now? Over 13,000 views, and we had over 1,100 live at one point.
Yeah,
that was crazy nuts.
And for some of the trackables that we shared, like the instructions on how to get the HTML banner onto your onto your digital profile.
Yeah.
Jeff, last time I saw, they had something like 1,500 Discover logs on that trackable.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count the people that went there just for the instructions and didn't log the trackable. Yeah. And, Jeff forgot to turn off the email notifications for trackable discoveries. He was like, he went to bed and woke up the next day and was like, I have 800 emails in my inbox.
Incredible.
So that was fun. There were a host of trackables shared. So if you were around for the entire thing and could check out the chat room, there were people sharing trackables left and right. So there's a host of them to go and discover if you so wish to sit through the program again.
I was logging as it went on. When it first started, I thought just a handful were going to come up.
Right.
And I was logging them individually, and I don't think 10, 15 minutes into it, I had switched over to log them all.
Yeah.
And it was literally, I would get a batch and then another batch would be ready to go. It's like all day long. I got somewhere between 400 and 450.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I know I didn't get all of them.
No. The other cool thing before we move on too is Derek helped me, but we did a random.org on all the ones the day after that did it. Obviously, you could still find them now, but we did that. We gave away coins. We gave away 8 of these, which is the Sunday show coin. Anyway, and it was really cool because we didn't plan it. That's why I had somebody else there, so to keep an eye on what make sure we did this right. But we did random.org, and we would go down. How we'd pick the row, and then we'd pick the person on that row, and that was the person that won. And I told him, I says, I don't care if it's international, we'll ship them international, and everything will be fine. Our patrons, help us out enough to do that. So anyway, I got the first 6 ready to go. What's funny is there was one Canadian. There was 2. Wait, let me take it back. There was a Canadian won something else. We had 2 Americans win. We had 6 international. So we had like Netherlands, Italy, Portugal, 2 Germany. It was almost like a perfect, kind of breakdown of varying countries, which was great.
It was diverse. You didn't get them all from one area.
Yeah, it was great. It was random, but we just went through it, and it was kind of cool. I got 2 left. I got Italy and a Germany. I got to finish filling out the info on so I can get it in the mail. But then we did a separate giveaway for IB Geocaching, wanted to give some things away, and I did that, and it turned out it was U.S. and it was a Canadian. So it's like we got a nice separation of countries for all the giveaways. I was really happy that it turned out that way.
Awesome. Dire Wolf, I am a Bears fan and have been for a long time. So, hey, send me an email with your address, and I'll pop one of my Pathfinder 33 trackables in the mail your direction.
What are your semi-invisible trackables?
That's right. For a fellow Bears fan, I'll hook a brother up.
There you go.
All right. So next on the news reel is GC8 NEAT. GC8 NEAT is live.
Woo-hoo.
If you were one of those people who had it on your watch list and woke up to 500 email notifications because it went live in Germany and they found it all day long, remember to get out, do some CETO, follow the rules. I can't stress this enough. Follow the rules of the cache page. Groundspeak headquarters will lock the page down if they're getting too many bogus logs, right? So if it tells you that you got to have a photo with a bag of trash, have your photo with a bag of trash. They locked down the GC8 Frog one for a little while because too many people were just logging it. You have to have a photo with either you in Signal with the special button or you with the special banner. So don't ruin it for the other 3 million geocachers worldwide because you wanted to be stingy and try and get a rare cache type. If you didn't get GC8 Frog last time, there's a chance for you to get GC8 Neat this year. Be respectful of the rules, follow the rules, do the right thing, and that's all we're going to do about that. GC8 Neat, get out there, do some CTO.
You can still get the Frog.
You can. If
just come to Texas.
We're hosting a mega event. We're hosting a mega event next month in Texas. So if your country lets you out of your country into our country, or your state lets you out of your state into our state, come on down, have a good time. The Texas Challenge was the last mega event hosted last year before COVID shut everything down. And it's the first one that is going to be available this year. So come on down to Texas, enjoy some barbecue with us. We'd love to have you.
Although I think I'd like to go. Donovan says aloha from Hawaii. So.
I need to go Hawaii. I only need 2 more states, and Hawaii is one of them.
A Hawaii mega, I'm thinking, has got to happen at some point. We need that. We need to all go to Hawaii.
Okay. Also, speaking of merchandise, there is Puzzle Talk merchandise is available on the Geocache Talk store, right? So go to geocachetalk.com, and in the upper right-hand section of the website, there is a tab that says store. Click on that, and it will take you over to our store. We've got T-shirts. We've got coins. We've got face masks. If you want to have a Puzzle Talk face mask, they're all there. On our shirt, I will tell you this. On our shirt, on the back of it, there is a puzzle. Right? Obviously. Right? Why would we not have a puzzle?
Of course.
Right? So, So the puzzle actually, let's see, how do we put this? The puzzle that's on the shirt actually takes you to a location in the continental United States. At that location, there's a Puzzle Talk coin hidden.
There you go.
Right? This is like a difficulty 4.5 puzzle. So don't think that it's going to be handed to you. And you don't get to blow it up real big. So you can't try and figure out the puzzle without
getting the shirt.
Without buying the shirt. That's right. I've made it obscure enough that you are not going to be able to figure out the puzzle without purchasing a shirt. So
we're not going to show it.
So the shirts are available online, as is all of the other the Geocache Talk Network gear. So if you enjoy watching Gadget Talk, Caching with Kids, Challenge Talk, or even the plain old Sunday show, make sure to check all of the merchandise out that is available on the website. There is some deals if you do some bundling. So there you have it. So
they get right into the puzzle part of the store without even having to solve a puzzle or know a code or nothing.
I guess so.
Yeah,
we'll let anybody in as long as they got money.
That's it.
Right.
The same puzzle is on the face mask, but it's obscured by our logo in the middle. So if you buy the face mask, you're still not going to be able to solve the puzzle. You have to purchase the shirt. I'll tell you this, and this is one of my Puzzle Talk coins. For the first person who solves the puzzle and sends an email to what is our email?
puzzletalkpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. So the first person who can correctly solve the puzzle, I'll mail you one. For everybody else, you
got to go to.
Once you solve it and get coordinates for it, there is a geocoin hidden in a little Tupperware container there at the location. So good luck to everybody as you try to figure out this pretty difficult puzzle. I would rate it as a 4.5 for difficulty.
Wow.
If I created one and put it out on the street. It's not impossible. I got the idea from another geocache that's just like it that I solved.
Right.
That was a 4.5 difficulty. And it had been out there, I don't know, over 10 years, but had like 15 finds on it, so pretty difficult. The other thing that has, so go get your Puzzle Talk merch, and good luck to people trying to solve the puzzle for a coin. And then this came out from the Frog today.
Yep.
If you get the emails from headquarters, there are 14 new Wonders of the World that are set to go live at the end of February. So those 14 new Wonders of the World will gain you 3 new digital souvenirs for your geocaching.com profile. You'll get 7 wonders and a souvenir, and then the next 7 wonders and another souvenir, and then you get a souvenir for completing both of the next 2 levels of Wonders of the World.
Correct.
So there's all kinds of stuff. If you go to geocaching.com's blog, you will find it. And we put a link in the show notes. So once the show notes go live, you'll be able to go in and check that out and get to those.
There you go.
So that's
pretty slick.
I know, pretty slick. I'm kind of excited about new souvenir promotion just in time for us to go to a mega event.
What do you know? Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. So, all right.
Yeah, just funny. Your way says the plain old Sunday show. That's it.
That's
what
it.
we call it. That's what we call it around here. It's just the plain old Sunday show.
Doesn't mean it's not good.
Look at Bert Turtles trying to be all sleuthy. He's like, pull up Charles's finds. I hope they don't look too far. I've worked in the last 6 months. I've been in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas. Good luck.
I've been on our bedroom, our kitchen, our.
You've been all over. You
From
can
one
sing
house to the other.
You sing the Johnny Cash song about being everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man.
Oh, all right. So tools that you will need to know for tonight's show. Nothing.
No tools for tonight.
Just the tools between the ears.
That's it. No websites, no Wikipedias, no Brucepedias, no Jeffapedias. The Wiki Bruce, that's where I'm trying to go with it. None of that for tonight's show. Tonight's show, we're going to attempt to discuss what makes a good puzzle. And hopefully,
and we kind of went in 2 different directions, which is kind of good.
Which is perfect.
We did. So, Tom, we'll give you the floor, sir.
All right, you want me to start this off? Okay.
That's why you're first in the show notes section.
Oh, well, I wasn't to start with. I didn't look to this evening. You were first to start with.
Well, mine just kept going. I was like, we're going to let Tom go first. Because at least then we're guaranteed that one of these will get all the way through.
Yeah, because yours went on and on and on. Well, shoot.
Which is great.
But once I start talking, dude, I can't shut up.
We'll figure a way to cut you off. Let Charles get a chance.
Well, yeah, there's a mute button. All right, so I started, and you'll see I'm kind of silly in the notes. If you look at the show notes, I said how to make a good puzzle gooder.
That's right.
Well, first you start with the title, and that goes with any cache. if you make an interesting cache name, that makes it a little more memorable instead of like cache number 3. You know, that's not a memorable cache name unless, well, I don't know. But I'm watching the map tonight because I helped some newbies put out a new cache today that's by my house, and we gave it an interesting name. It's just a traditional, but it's I think, what is it? I'm stringing you along or something like that. But anyway, the point is give the cache a good name.
Darwell saying, don't forget a proofreader, but hey, gooder might be a clue.
Maybe it might be.
So don't forget.
I think somebody's ragging on me about my FTF magazine article, but oh well. Next thing I had on my list is really not with making it better the way I was thinking, but give the cache the proper attributes.
Right.
If it's a field puzzle, put the field puzzle thing in there. That's helpful to people.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless
the attributes are part of the puzzle, maybe.
Yeah. Now there are puzzles that the attributes are part of them, which I gotta ask this, and I don't know the answer to this, and I should. But when you put the attributes in, do they pop up in the same order that you put them in, or is it pop up in the order of their numbers?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I would think that they would pre-populate in their numbered order, but I don't think I've ever tried to add attributes or put them in a particular order. But that's something worth looking at now.
It is, because if you're going to do a puzzle where the coordinates are based on the attribute numbers, you know, and let's say you wanted 4-3, you couldn't use the number 4 attribute and then the number 3 attribute. If it's going to automatically put them in the other order, you'd have to use the 43.
Right.
I'm taking one of mine to see what happens. Now this is edited later, so I want to see what happens. I'm gonna try to put them in a certain order and see what happens. 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Just finding our way says not in the order you select them.
Oh darn! But the one I solved, it was a total, so it didn't really matter what order they were in.
Oh.
So you added up all the numbers, and then it gave you a total number, and then it was like, then they tweaked it, like, you know, they told you to add certain numbers or whatever.
Next thing I had on my list is a good story, and I said, think about wrestling. They come up with stories that make the matches interesting, so you have to do the same thing. So if you do a Sudoku, don't just make a plain old Sudoku. Make a Sudoku that gives out a secret code for the alien defense system or something.
Yeah. I agree. Give a little bit of a story behind it. It's just it's more interesting that way.
If I thought of a puzzle I did when I first started it, you were looking for Roman numerals in the story. And so I said, if you have a story with Roman numerals in it, make it a story about gladiators or something.
Right.
Write some baloney.
The Spartan Warriors.
They're from Atlanta, aren't they?
Those are the Falcons and the Hawks.
Oh, I thought they had
Golden State Warriors. That's different.
Okay. Use different fonts. Don't use just the standard stuff. Make the cache page look pretty. So use different fonts, font sizes, and colors. And it's again using the wrestling thing. No one goes in with just a plain pair of shorts or a suit. It's all colored up.
Right.
Or Lucha Libre, they got the mask, man. You gotta have that.
Yeah. Josh was here. He says he loves WWE, so he would like someone to make a really good wrestling puzzle somewhere in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Just let him know.
We know a good wrestler in New York.
We do. She'll be on the show, by the way, here in February. Action Trinity back to the show.
5 beers,
Right.
please.
5 beers, please.
Oh, or just one grape knee high. Or actually, it's orange. They didn't have grape.
It's not very tall. It's just knee high.
Graphics, not just pictures. Those are cool, but just dazzle it up. And if you don't know how to do that, and I'm kind of one of them. I mean, I know how to add pictures, but I don't know how to like turn them and do all the
Sparkle it up.
sparkle it all up. So if you don't know how to do that, find a cache page that looks cool and ask the CO who they use to do it. Or get an HTML book and learn how to do it yourself. Or my favorite way is bribe the neighborhood teenager. Or I just bribed the white. Oh, how did you do that?
Sparkle it up with that.
How did you?
I got all sorts of little tricks now.
I have no idea how you did that, but oh well. It doesn't really work with everything, but if you can have a cool background image, sometimes that makes a little thing better. And then for a hint, don't just put not needed. I hate on every cache when they say not needed. If you're not going to do that, just leave it blank.
Oh yeah.
So obscure is fine, but make it useful.
I agree. There's nothing worse than translating something or hitting the decode button and then it said super easy, no hint needed. And you're like, because you see something written down there and you're like, oh, yeah. this is really going to help. And then it doesn't. Be like,
yeah, and be kind to your tourists. Like I hate when I went to Florida and it says typical Florida hide. I'm like, I'm from Texas. I don't know what a Florida hide is.
I know what a Florida hide is, but
is that in a palm tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the little
palm
the
crevice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where you phone a friend, Tom. You have to ask. The questions.
I didn't know anybody in Florida at the time.
We could ask someone then. You could ask one of us. We'd help you.
I didn't know you then.
Oh, that's probably true. I found a bunch in Florida.
Well, that's all my stuff. I kept it short so Charles could get through his list. It is literally 5 pages long.
Hey,
it would be 2 if the news and your stuff wasn't there. I think.
You think you got a lot there?
I do have a lot there. Well, I put a lot of thought into this.
You did. Yes, you did.
So all right, so
I'm just saying there's 5 pages of show notes here and you start on page 2.
The bottom of page 2. Oh, all right. So let's get through this. So how do you make a puzzle that leaves a cacher stumped and scratching their head, but makes them feel very smart when they have that aha moment and figure out the answer?
I like that.
Right. So there are a few things that go into making in my opinion, what goes into making a good puzzle. Right. There are the mechanics of it, a catch, the revelation, the assumption, and then there's the presentation and the curve, right? So starting off at the beginning, the mechanics. The mechanics for this are the set of rules that govern how the puzzle works, right? This will become important here at the end of the show when we look at an example or two. But the mechanics are the set of rules that govern how the puzzle works. The rules are sometimes the limitations that are what is used to create the puzzle, right? So the rules limit you in some form or fashion, and that then is what helps you create the puzzle. This can include having to figure out what to do as well as how to do it, right? So much like our Puzzle Talk shirt, you not only have to figure out what it is, you then have to figure out what to do with it, right? The overall cleverness or limitations that you give in the puzzle will dictate the overall difficulty of the puzzle, right? And it needs a goal. In our case, coordinates. In the end, that's the goal. Or it could usually, or it could be a keyword or a phrase that you put into certitude that gives you coordinates, or
a phone number.
In the case of what Tom's looking for, the puzzle cache is out there at the given location, but there's a padlock on it. And in order to get the combination to the lock, you have to put the correct phrase into certitude, which then gives you the combination to the lock, right?
Exactly.
So there are plenty of ways to go about this, but these are the basic mechanics of the puzzle.
I like it.
Right? So then
sometimes people forget that it doesn't have to just, like you said, be creative. You don't have to have the coordinates buried in the cache page. Like you said, you could go to certitude, and certitude could be, words. It doesn't have to be numbers. You could have, once you solve the puzzle, you could have certitude say north 3 THRE. I mean, you could, trick it up, do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we see, once we get down here, there will be some other things that come out about it, but sometimes simplicity is key, right? We'll get to that in the presentation, but the catch is a logical contradiction where two things seem to be in conflict with each other, right? This sometimes leads more to gadget caches, but they are puzzles. So we'll kind of run down this. It's kind of like the door button concept, right? So the door button concept is you stand on the door, or you stand on the button, and it opens a door, right? You've got to go through the door, right? But if you get off of the button then raises and the door closes, right? So now you have to figure out how to keep the button pressed down so you can get out the door. The same thing that happens in puzzle caches is you can lead them to where if they do one thing wrong, it locks them out, or if they do it correctly, it keeps it open, like Tom's Sudoku puzzle, right? If you go through one block and enter the wrong numbers because there's two places that the 6 could go, and you just cornhole it into one of those boxes, it can then throw the entire rest of the puzzle off.
Yep.
So that's your door button type of concept. And then being able to solve the catch, right? Being able to look at it and say, oh, that's what I did wrong. Sometimes takes looking at it from a different perspective. That's the high school kid who helps you with your HTML. Rethinking the logical steps. Usually when you read through some puzzle caches that are stories written out on a cache page, you start at the top and read down to the bottom. Well, sometimes if you start at the bottom and kind of work your way up to the top of the cache page, it then the solution kind of presents itself to you, right? So you need to be able to think, look at it from a different perspective, rethink the logical steps or what you think the logical steps are. This kind of gets you into the mind of the cache owner a little bit. Spatial positioning. So if it's a field puzzle that you have to get there and solve, sometimes looking at it from a different angle,
right,
will help you. And then, like I said, starting at a different location on the cache page. So instead of starting at the top and reading down, start at the bottom and read up and see
Sure.
if something then doesn't pop out at you. This leads you to the revelation, right? This is that aha moment that leads you down the path to solving the puzzle, right?
right.
It doesn't always have to be easy, right, Tom?
It does not have to be easy.
It's like our 4.5 difficulty puzzle talk shirt. It doesn't have to be easy. Make people think outside the box or do on the fly problem solving, right? Try to make them figure out how it works. That makes them reconsider how the puzzle works, right? So looking at it from a different angle, thinking outside the box, knowing that it could be hard will sometimes make you rethink as a solver how the puzzle works, which then leads you to approach the puzzle from, a different point of view, a lateral perspective, so to say.
We had that one that we worked on together one night. Golly, how many hours we were on that thing for a while, and funny is Tom, you had a fairly good beat on it. We just couldn't quite.
Oh, the one with the stuff in the spaces?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were able to determine that there was something odd within this. It wasn't just because on a very simple puzzle, you can just highlight the it's not white on white,
right?
Where you can just, those are kind of that's kind of fun for an easy puzzle. But this booger was.
You could copy the text off the cache page or out of the source code, drop it into Word, put the paragraph thing and show the hidden characters thing on there, and a whole bunch of stuff would come up in the spaces.
Yeah, that was amazing. So
but I couldn't get beyond that.
I know, but that's kind of an example of we were able to get to that point.
That was leaving the sandbox and going on a 10-mile hike.
It was, but you get a revelation, you get the aha moment that we sort of kind of started out right.
We knew that there was something in the spaces.
Yeah.
Now, what we didn't know, and this is part of, is part of this, right? Is part of the catch. We knew there was something, and we knew that it was there. Like we could see it when you looked at it from a different point of view, from a different font, right?
Right.
We just didn't know what to put it into to then get coordinates out of it, right? And so that's kind of the fun part about all of this is that you can see these steps line out in puzzles if you've done enough of them. The revelation can also add to a cacher's toolbox, right?
Sure.
And this becomes something important when you're doing things that carry over or build for a future puzzle or a part 2, or if you go to look at the Fix Fizzy's 81 grid puzzle caches that gives you everything from a 1-1 to a 5-5. He's got 81 puzzle caches all in a giant square in South Dakota. If you start at the 5-5, you're going to miss some stuff. You have to, in his series, you have to start at the 1-1 and work your way through the puzzles because he hides things in certain places, or he says something in one cache page that makes sense in the cache page for the, something on his 1 3.5, then all of a sudden makes sense when you're looking at his 4-3 cache page, right?
Yeah.
So you take some of that and keep it in your toolbox, and then it comes to fruition later in the series. So that's always something fun. We did one here where they had the magician's cards,
Right.
that you could tell what the card was from the back, right?
Oh, okay.
So you knew what the card was that the other person was holding.
Oh, gotcha.
We didn't know how to decipher that at first. But once we realized that and we saw that there was a part 2, we knew that we needed to take that same bit of knowledge and carry it over to the next cache page, right?
In case anybody wants to look at the cache later, or I put it in the chat, but it's
the GC code for his one.
GC6JB48. J as in Jasmer and B as in Bison. So GC6 Jasmer Bison 48. In case you want to play along at home. There you go.
And then so once you figure out that once you're at that point, solving the puzzle should be like an epiphany or a eureka moment for in the show notes I put it the finder, but the cacher who's trying to solve the puzzle. Once you get there, it should be like, bam, touchdown, I got it. 7 rings, baby.
7 rings.
So whatever the case may be. In this,
I've gone 2 different directions with it. I've had to yay, and I've had to why was I so dang stupid?
Well, is that after you said after the revelation, you have the assumption?
Well, this is something that kind of goes on. This is something that happens by the cache owner, right?
Okay.
So the assumption is, if you can do it right, you can assume that people who attempt to solve it are going to do this logical step and then this and then this. And so you can kind of anticipate their thought processes in this and give them misdirection, right? Straight off of the bat.
Oh, yeah.
So you as the solver need to keep that in mind, because you need to try to identify that misdirection if possible, right? Sometimes you're not going to, and you're going to go down a rabbit hole and, spend like 3 hours on a cache one night and still not solve it. And then you're going to pull your other 2 buddies into it, and they're going to spend 3 hours trying to solve it.
What's he talking about? I wonder what he's thinking here.
I thought today was National Pizza Day, not National Pick on Me Day.
Yeah, Tom dragged both of us into that thing that night, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
It was fun, and I did too. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll tell you what, I learned a lot, even though we didn't solve it. Right. I learned a lot. Like, oh, this is how you do this. Like, even though we haven't found the specific website that decodes that yet, right, Tom?
Right. I haven't.
So even though we haven't figured out how to decode it, we at least know, and we're on the right path on doing that. So as the cache owner, building misdirection into a puzzle can lead a cacher into making certain mistakes, or once they get down this rabbit hole far enough, they can make a small discovery that gives them some little nugget of knowledge that once they get out of their rabbit hole, they're like, aha, I think I know, and it can lead them to the correct decision, right? Luring cachers into thinking that they might know how to solve the problem gives them a spot to start at, right? So if they sit there and look at it and they're like, this looks like it's when you're looking at it, if you look at it and it's definitely not English, but you're in the US somewhere and you're like, all right, so this definitely is a foreign language. I'm going to take this and throw it into Google Translate and see what pops up, right?
Yeah.
That lures cachers into thinking hey, this is your starting point, right?
Right.
Which gives them a good place to start the process of solving it.
Yeah.
While cachers are working on a wrong assumption, it teaches them something about how the puzzle works, right? Hopefully, if they're paying attention to it, they figure out something about how the puzzle works.
Sure.
And it can start to build that outside the box thinking on how to solve it.
Right.
So there's plenty of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So just know that even though you may be running down a wrong rabbit hole because it doesn't give you the answer,
Right.
it probably gives you some insight as to how the puzzle works. And once you get back to square one, it then will help you get to the finish line or, solving the puzzle.
Right.
And it almost always ensures that the cacher is going to fail at solving the puzzle the first time or for the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a different example that we cannot pick on Tom with. So I did one recently where the cache page said I was the SME on this thing, which they were wrong because it took me a while to solve it. But
Subject matter expert.
I'll give you a thing. It showed a bunch of upper and lowercase letters and numbers, and I think it had a few symbols in it, and ended with an equal sign. And I'm sure you've seen one of those before. What's the first thing that pops in your head with it when you see that? Or maybe you haven't.
Like a rebus?
No. It was like it was just letters and numbers. It was regular plain text, letters and numbers, upper lowercase, and it ended equal to. I don't remember if it was one or two equal signs. That's usually a dead giveaway for.
There's a cipher that the end of it ends in the equal sign.
Yes.
We covered this in a previous show, but it's
like base 64.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, this is simple. And then, no, wasn't base 64. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's one of the other bases. And I go through all this stuff. Well, it turns out there was a certain website you needed to hit because once you got to the right place, it translated perfect. But still, it was like you say, you learned you made the assumption, oh, this is base 64. No.
Yeah.
Went down the rabbit hole, so I got to the right one.
True. Yeah.
I did a Tower of Babel cache that was like that there's just this garbage on the website, right, on the cache page. And it was like, if you're in an octagon shaped room on the 4th bookshelf, and right, on the 3rd shelf in the 27th book on page 227, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this type? And then it just was garbage text, Then you copy and pasted that text onto the right website in the right room on the right bookshelf on the right book on the right page. All of a sudden it translated and gave you a paragraph of text that was in plain English that you could read. So it was but there was a lot of work to get to that point. But yeah, but not getting to solve it right away is what gives people that feeling of being stumped, right? And sometimes that feeling of being stumped is kind of needed as that internal motivation to try and solve this thing. So
a lot of people get to that point. I know a lot of people who may be listening or watching who are new to puzzles. I think that's something for someone that hasn't, like myself, doesn't have the experience that you guys have, and I think for someone who may be more like me, and that is, you get that situation. I think it's important to try to push through, talk to somebody, or do some more research online. Try to push through, because it's very rewarding for folks that haven't solved a lot of puzzles. When you finally do solve one, there's kind of this rush that you can get. I don't know. I mean, you guys probably sort of a euphoric moment. When you finally get it, you're like, wow, that I solved it. You're like, let's go find it. Let's go do another one, because you get kind of a.
Man, it's addicting. It really is. That feeling of conquering a hard puzzle, or even if it's an easy puzzle, but you've solved 4 or 5 of them all in a row. I mean, that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And then being able to be like, all right, we're going to go find these caches now.
Yeah. It's like a double prizes.
Yeah. And hopefully it puts you in the mood where you're like, I'm going to hide, one like that. And you can take it and twist it and add your own little flair to it.
Right.
And kind of give back to the puzzle caching community. So
I will.
Or you make a puzzle based on one of those wrong rabbit holes you went down.
Ooh.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yep.
We'll also throw out there. We'll plug Wikibruce. Thanks for your. That's a good site. There's several sites, but that's where if you get completely stumped and you're kind of new at puzzles, hang with it, keep going. Maybe it's too difficult a puzzle. Go back a level, find a puzzle, because you can solve puzzles all over the world. You got to remember that you don't have to do the ones around your home. You can do them anywhere. Yep. Go to a place like Wikibruce, and although there's a new, there's a new link for that. So I probably need to put the note in there for that. So Jeff, if you got a better link, Wikibruce I think still works. So. But anyway.
Yeah, going back to what you just said, though, same not only with solving puzzles, but with finding caches. If you think you're super genius because you can do all the ones in your area, go somewhere else, because you'll get humbled real quick.
Real quick. I got to one in Utah, and I was like, yeah, I figured out the puzzle. I knew where the coordinates put you, and I got there. And they were like, don't dig in the bushes. It's not on the power boxes. It's not on the fire hydrant. They're like, everywhere that you could see standing at ground zero, they told you it wasn't there. And I was kind of looking around and had no idea. And so I sent the cache owner, I said, hey, so this is the coordinates I got. This is where it brought me to. He said, yep, you're at the right spot. And I said, all right. And then I realized I was about 12 feet too high standing in the middle of the street.
I know where it's at now.
Yeah, you know where it's at now. It was in a water drainage that went underneath the road. But yeah, it was.
I remember that. I remember you periscope for that one.
I did, and the periscope let me walk all the way down the tunnel too. It was kind of neat.
I remember that. It was pretty. I was pretty impressed. I think it broke up only at one slight moment, but then other than that, it worked. I'm
gonna be so devastated when Periscope actually goes away at the end of next month. We'll figure out what
Twitter Live
is gonna look like. But so, all right. So that brings us to the presentation.
Yes.
Right. All of your work can go haywire if you don't present the puzzle correctly, right? So presentation is key.
Right.
Simple puzzles can be very tricky if presented correctly and require outside the box thinking. I will show you that here in just a moment. Some of the best puzzles have very little fluff or moving parts to them. It's just a very straightforward puzzle. You just have to be smart enough to figure it out, much like our Puzzle Talk shirt.
Yes.
And then a puzzle, remember this is a cache owner, that a puzzle with too many elements can either be too complicated, or most of that stuff that you put in there is either red herrings or is specifically meant to lead you astray, right? So remember that, and as a person trying to solve one, don't think that, you know, all of that stuff is in there for a reason. Some of it is just filler.
Right.
You know, the Sudoku puzzle is just the Sudoku puzzle. It doesn't always have to be about the alien missile defense system.
Right.
Well,
right.
okay.
Tom's like, that's it, I'm done. I quit.
What's wrong, Tom?
Drink your knee high. I'm
gonna drink my knee high. Be quiet.
There we go.
All right, so this brings us to the curve, right? The curve is especially important in a puzzle series like the Fix Fizzy 81 grid, right? As you work through the puzzles, you're learning along the way, and certain things that then become important later in the series, you either learned or read earlier in the series somewhere, right? So the curve is especially important in puzzle series or in multi-part puzzles or puzzle caches that didn't get broke into a part 1, part 2, part 3, right?
Right.
The puzzle should build on each other, right? And be set out in a logical order that one part leads to the next, right? Okay. So remember that because if you jumble all the parts together, then solving the puzzle maybe slim to none, may never happen, right? So if you start at Fix Fizzy's 4.5, thinking I'm just going to finish all of the 4s and 5s in difficulty, you're going to struggle. I tried that. You're going to struggle. Not that it can't be done, because some of them can be, but you're going to struggle because some of the things that you needed were on that 2.5 cache page.
Oh, see, yeah.
Right. So go through them in a logical order, because some of the stuff that's presented early in the cache pages then helps you figure out some of that, and it leads you to know how Zach's brain kind of worked as he was creating some of these.
Right.
So, all right. So this gets us to the rating system, right? So the more possible solutions, the higher the difficulty should be.
Okay.
Too many steps can make it tedious and no fun, right? The mechanics that the solver needs to be familiar with before trying to solve the puzzle need to, be laid out there, right? So they need to know the rules before they try to solve it, right? I have one where it tells you in the beginning it's a rat race maze, and it tells you that you can only make left-hand turns through the puzzle, right? And as you go through the puzzle making your left-hand turns, you go past numbers that then give you coordinates, right? And so if you do it in the wrong order, or if you make a right-hand turn, or I've made it to where you can go past a number and then make a left-hand turn and come back to it, but you pick up a different number, there's only one way to solve the puzzle cache.
Oh.
And so, because you can't go back on yourself a second time,
right?
You can cross your path like this, but you can't go down the same road or the same section twice, the same direction.
Gotcha.
So it kind of makes you know that, all right, there are set rules for it, and this is how you solve it.
Sure.
And so that's it in a nutshell. A good puzzle is derived from the rules. It has a catch that makes the puzzle seem impossible at first glance. The player can be made to fall on that catch if the CO exploits an assumption that the cacher might make, right? So I think they're going to, do this. And if you build the puzzle right and present it correctly, then it could give them hours of fun. To overcome the catch, some of the best puzzles make the cacher think outside the box for some little piece of knowledge that helps the cacher solve the puzzle.
Oh,
Do all puzzles need to have this? No. But the really good ones, in my opinion, have some or multiple components of the list that I just laid out. And so at some level, there's some of this in there, and we'll do a really quick, very short example of this. There are 2 puzzles based off of this. So let me share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so we've all seen this puzzle before, yeah?
Oh, right.
So you have to connect all 9 of these dots with 4 lines without picking your pencil up off of the paper once you start it, right? So you can't pick your pencil up once you start. You can only make 4 lines, and you have to have a line running through all 9 of the dots at the end, right?
Yep.
So this makes people think outside the box, because if you think that you're just going to be able to go like this, right, and then like here, and then here, paint doesn't really let me draw it all that well without picking my pencil up, right? So there are my 4 lines, but I don't have all the all of the dots, right? So this is that puzzle that makes you think outside the box, because in order to solve it,
especially the box of the 3 by 3 dots.
right, in order to solve it, you have to do this.
Go past the 3 dots.
Go past the 3 dots.
Yep.
Right, to here.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, and then 4.
Come on, paint, work with me. And then 4, right? So there's your 4, but that's a very easy puzzle that has rules.
Yeah.
There's a catch to it, because most people don't think that you're going to draw this down here.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's your assumption, right? Is that the puzzle creator can make it where, they don't think that they're going to do this. I've also seen this where they tell you to connect all 9 dots,
right,
with 3 lines.
Oh, wow.
And so you have to start way over here and go through the bottom of this one and
top of that one.
Right. So you got to do it at the right angle to where you get through all 3 boxes here.
Right. And outside the, yeah,
you're outside the box and
9 dots. Completely.
Right. And so the same thing going this way, where you end up,
oh, yeah,
going like this and connecting these lines way out here off of the page.
Right.
And then this one goes the same way, way off of the page this way.
Barely touching all 3 dots. Yeah.
But that's how you get all 3 dots in a single line. You got to be the bottom of this one, the middle of this one, the top of that one. And as you go through this, so it can be done with 3 lines.
Sure.
But you've got to think way outside of the box with that. So that's a very easy puzzle to get to, with either one of the deals, either the 3 lines or the 4. But most people don't think that they can go outside of those 9 dots that are drawn on the piece of paper. So
there was there was a good comment by Roomba Cats in the chat. I thought I wanted to bring that up, get you guys to comment. He gave us five rules of making good puzzle caches, but one of them that really stood out to me was this one, which was help the cache finder feel like they're making progress. I think that's very important, especially for newbie puzzle cache hiders or finders, just give them a little bit of an idea that they're making headway of some type. I remember when I first started, for me, one of the really frustrating things about one of the ones I was doing, I thought I picked a difficulty level low enough. Apparently, this person thought that, their 2 was definitely beyond was like a 12 to me because I couldn't figure it out, but I couldn't make any progress. I gave up because there was nothing that I could grasp a hold of. Do you guys ever have that, or?
Did you reach out for a hint?
I didn't because I was pretty young at it, and I needed to.
I have a cache like that tells you that the coordinates start at the 7,486,332nd digit of pi after the decimal point.
Right.
And that's fairly intuitive. You know that you're going to have to find you a pi calculator to get there.
Right.
Oh, you do it by hand.
You can.
Right, Tom?
You can do it in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not going to tell you that you can't. You can. It can be done.
Australia in the house.
Finding the correct website for that is
That's true.
what it is. So most of the time when cachers contact me, it's because they found a pi calculator that took them to the 1 million digits of pi.
Right.
They still have 7 million digits to go to get to where mine starts.
Yeah, that's true.
And so for that, if they come in and say, hey, I've looked at this calculator and this pi calculator and this one, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Can you throw me a bone? I'm more than willing, if they have spent that much time looking at the incorrect pi calculators, I just send them the website.
Right.
And say, this is the pi calculator that you need to be using. And then they look at it and they're like, well, I saw this one when I did a Google search, but I skipped over it because the cache page only says that it goes to like 1 million digits. But when you actually click on the link,
Right.
the cache page, they have actually calculated out, and it's a college website, and I've shared that website in previous shows. But even though the Google search tells you it only goes to 1 million digits, when you actually click on the website, it goes all the way to 10 million digits and is the calculator that you need to solve the cache. So, if a cacher reaches out to me and is struggling for some reason, I'll throw them a hint. I'll throw them, I'll send them back and say, how much of a hint do you want? I'll give you one. Do you want a little hint? Do you want a big hint? And because sometimes I don't want it to spoil it for them, but at the other time, I don't want them so frustrated with my puzzle, with that one puzzle cache of mine, that they don't look for any of the others because they're like, nah, forget that guy.
He's a wackadoodle nut job.
Yeah. He's got this picture of him in his Speedo with this bronze beaver.
It's not I'm trying to find it's not this one, is it? It's not, is it that one?
No.
So that one only goes to 1 million. So like you said, people might go to the decode.fr/pi.digits and they're going to go, I give up. That's the only, because that's not the right one.
The one you're talking about, you can search it for a certain decimal place. You can search it by a certain sequence. You can find your birthday in it.
Is it? I think it's
this one here. I got it. Let me.
Got it? Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
NGO.
Yeah, it's that one.
Okay. I'll throw it in.
So it's that one right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Angio.net/pi/digits.html. That one lets you search for 10 digits of pi starting at a specific position. And if you just copy and paste off of my digits of pi cache page and put it in there and then click show pi,
Right.
it gives it to you. It'll give you those first 10 digits, but you only need, whatever, 7 of them.
Right.
So,
has a good point. He says that the goal is to have the cache finder leave happy, not frustrated.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want even my difficult puzzles, like our shirt. I want it to be solved. I want the puzzle coin that is hidden in a piece of Tupperware at that cache at that coordinate location. There's no geocache there either, so don't
make it easy. Yeah,
right.
Well, it's to keep it from generic geocache
from accidentally disappearing.
Right.
There's no geocache there.
Right.
There might be after somebody solves it and retrieves the coin. There may be a geocache at that location, but currently there's not one. So
one of the things that you guys have done really well, and I think that in the RumaCast gave the exact point, was you want the puzzle to, it's piqued my interest, and I might go try to find solutions, or I'll go talk to somebody, because it's at least interesting enough. Like the back of our coin, which I'll only give part of it here, but I won't give all of it. But there's a puzzle on the back of the coin.
There is a puzzle on the back of the coin.
So,
that was a good idea.
A puzzling puzzle.
A puzzle on the back of the coin, which is great. But it's a great idea because people can look at it and go, "Oh, well, I can type that in somewhere," and like, "Oh, that doesn't work." but you're like, "Aha!" Though there's something there, obviously. Now where do I go? Where can I take this information and run with it? It's like a good puzzle. Good puzzle cache. If you want there to be enough so people kind of go, "Ooh."
Yeah, and I want my puzzles to be solved and to be found. And so, like Doug, if I have a difficult puzzle, like the puzzle is difficult to solve, finding the cache is not going to be. Right? Yeah. If you spent hours inside working on the puzzle to solve it, you're not going to have to do that to get to the cache. Now, I have one that's super easy. It's like a 1 difficulty, but it's a 5 terrain, and it's 40 feet up in a tree.
Sure.
That's a dead tree that you can't climb, because if you climb it, the whole tree is going to fall over.
Right.
And I hit it with one of those expanding poles. So that's kind of how I make my puzzles. If it's easy to solve, it's usually going to be a little more difficult to acquire the cache.
Right.
It may not be hard to find the cache, but getting to it or getting it down and then put back up, because that's the other part to this is cachers have to put the cache back where they found it.
Ooh, yeah, that's a little tricky.
And so it's the same way. So I have some that are difficult to solve, that once you get to ground zero is going to be fairly easy to find, the ammo can or, my pickle jar or whatever it is.
Dan says if you climb the tree, then of course, then it becomes a 1-1. Because the tree falls to the ground.
Yeah, I'd have to there are enough of those trees there that within 15 feet of it,
you can put it in another one.
I just put it in the one next to it.
Next to it, keep going.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But they're it.
You're gonna grow another dead tree.
Yeah,
you'll have lots of them.
And I tell you that you're going to need a tot to get to it, right?
Sure.
And the first person who solved the puzzle went out there with his trusty bag of geocaching,
right?
And then said that he wrote a note and said, "I'll have to come back with a different tool." He said, "Yeah, Lori."
I'm with Lori.
No, you're not. Lori. Bad Lori.
Me and Lori going to go get it.
Oh, yeah. See, Direwolf, he's
Oh, go ahead.
quick clicking the button,
Sorry.
Gary.
I was trying to help you out, buddy.
He says that it needs a DPT where
I agree.
Puzzle difficulty and the regular D still equals the hide. So, yeah.
I agree. That would, but of course, then you do that, you're gonna open up the fizzy grid changes completely then, which is great.
There's another rating system I've seen that uses 4 of them, but hey, that's for another show.
That's for another show. And Dan, you're correct. We love Lori too, but we're not going to encourage Lori to be sticking the chainsaw to it. Of course, she'll do it herself anyway.
My glass is empty.
It's a tot, she says.
It's a tot.
Yeah, it is a tot. Kind of.
Just remember, out here in the Greater West, you got to have a tree cutting permit from the BLM or the National Forest Service usually.
Charles?
So I'll use a match. I didn't cut it.
You don't want to be that guy out here in the West, Tom.
Charles is he can get us he's got some mad BLM skills since he works for the Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah.
I assume you still work for them.
I'll bring a bottle of termites. How's that?
Hey, it won't take much longer, and people you just lean up against it, and that thing will just yeah.
Lumberjack Lori. That's pretty funny.
So yeah.
I love it. You guys have got some great ideas. I don't care what anybody else says. You guys are okay. I don't care what Jesse says.
That's right, Jesse.
You guys are okay.
Yeah, he's a poopy head.
He just got a class, so
he
has a Tuesday.
He's probably trying to get another Earth Cache published.
Get another. Which, by the way, we're going to do Earth Caches this Sunday.
That's right.
Join us for that. But I do want to plug something of
Earth Caches are just geological puzzles.
There you go. Perfect. That's good thinking. So I know not everybody can do this, but I do want to point out that in just a few weeks, the entire Puzzle Talk crew will be at this location, this GC code. So just saying, GC8W9P1, GC8 Water 9 Puzzle 1. So looking forward to having all of us together. Come find us. No, I didn't say the entire crew, Jeff. I said the entire Puzzle Talk crew. But yeah, we're going to be missing we won't have the entire GT network there. Sadly, our friend from the north can't get out of the north, which is probably a good thing. He's not coming to the U.S. But
we can get him out of the north. The problem is getting him back.
Exactly. But all the Puzzle Talk will be there. All of Gadget Talk will be there.
And all of the Sunday show.
And all of the plain old Sunday show will be there.
Right.
Which sadly, all of Challenge Talk won't, which is kind of weird that all of the one show. But we have a plan, and I think we're going to be able to pull this off, is that
we're going to sneak him in the trunk of a car?
Yes. There's a pipeline that's shut down right now. So if he climbs through the pipe, I mean, he'll get a lot of oil on himself, but I think he can be fine. Clean up afterward.
It'll help him slide through quicker.
Yeah.
And it comes out in Texas. It does come out in Houston.
Ba-dum.
And we can just drop him back in there, and he can trek back to Canada.
Right.
From there.
Oh, damn. I'm sorry, buddy. He's only 14,000 kilometers from his house.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, gosh.
Doug, it is the 19th annual Texas Challenge and Geocaching Festival. It is the mega event that is happening in Texas on 3/13. So next month on the 13th, there's a mega event in Texas, and all of us are, the majority of the Geocache Talk Network crew is going to be at it.
Yeah, we're all going to be there except for missing Emily and Jeff, sadly, but it'll be okay. We'll get there. Oh, a caching drone? Yeah, you never know. Charles, bringing your drone, maybe?
I am bringing my drone. Yes.
Very cool. Well, there you go.
So
we'll get some photos. All on the same team? Probably not. Although Tom has competed with out of state.
I'm not. I can't play this year.
But you can't play. Jesse and Charles will probably be on the out of state team. Well, maybe you're competing east.
I've competed for North Texas for 4 years.
Yeah.
And last year I competed for East Texas.
Yeah.
Nobody has solicited my presence on their team yet. So
you're still a free agent.
Yeah. So team captains hit me up.
878 is not bad. Come on, man. We can make that trip.
I've driven more than that distance. I've driven more than that distance in a day just for barbecue.
Just for right.
Let's see. I think I'm sitting at right at 900 miles to get there from where I'm at in Colorado.
So there you go. Make the trek. It's a little bit of a haul. Obviously not as far for me. I got a much shorter trip than you guys, but Jesse's trying to decide whether he's going to drive or fly. He's still not sure. Derek's driving. Chad is flying. Yeah, I got a short distance. I only have 187 miles. So.
Oh, straight line distance. I'm 650 miles. But there is no straight road through the Rocky Mountains. So.
No, there is not.
Oh, I lied to you. It was 613 miles for barbecue.
Okay, there you go. 600 miles for barbecue. Rumacast might be there.
The 254 event that was in Austin last month was 1,020 miles one way in the car. So thankfully not going all that distance to Austin, but Texas is a big state.
Yeah, I think Darrell's being funny, but 790 miles, 700, it's Texas. The way it feels sometimes.
That is.
If you haven't driven around Texas, you could drive for a long time.
There's another one. I drove 750 something just to get a puzzle cache.
Did you really? 750 miles?
Well, I was going that way anyway, but yeah.
Okay, all right. That's some dedication, though, buddy.
But that was where we stopped for the day. It was 750 miles from here to Pensacola Beach, so I could get a puzzle and then go eat seafood.
So we should tell Pizza Ninja one of the events is going to be great. Unfortunately, the fast route would be through El Paso. Yeah, well, that's not bad. It's West Texas.
That's right. That's probably the best Mexican food you'll get in that state's in El Paso.
Right. So one of the events is let's celebrate early Pie Day with pizza. And Tom made a good point the other day that did you say every event there's like 6 or 7 events, every one of them has food involved.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, we've talked enough about food. I guess people are either hungry or get you some pie. Yeah, every event has something. No DNFs, just dessert. Like pie is one of the events. Donuts.
Yeah, there's a donut event.
I may just try to pound down 20 or 30 donuts so you guys can come watch that. So watch me try to eat that many.
Don't be scared.
I don't think there's a poker event this year, Dan. Usually there is.
No.
Not this year because of things being. Just to let you know, pretty much every event's outdoors. Even the donut stuff is all outdoors. They're trying to be careful, but like the finishers event that Charles is in charge of is part of a block party.
Yeah, we've got an entire block in town blocked off. Not that it's a big town, but we do have an entire block.
The city is
blocked off. Between the two,
shut the whole town down for us.
That's right.
And there's hand sanitizer on draft at that event.
Yes,
exactly.
And we'll have food trucks. So there's a food truck coming. There's a food truck there in Cisco, and there's one coming over from Eastland.
Or Abilene.
We've got at least two, and I know that we're still trying to work on trying to get a third or a fourth, but
so
Eastland. Name a famous person from Eastland.
Oh gosh, we should be able to do that.
You should.
Man, I thought I knew this too.
Barney Smith.
With the Toilet Seat Museum.
Yeah.
He's from Eastland.
Toilet Seat Museum pioneer, we call him that. Of course, Cisco famous for the Santa Claus that
robbed
the bank and
tried to anyway.
Yeah, tried to.
Lots of cool history. So if you are able to come down,
come on down.
Come on down. We'd love to have you. It'll be a good time. And otherwise, I've got food back there by the piano.
Well, I think that
I need to go eat.
That's the setup for the end. So here we go.